Hi everybody. I'm going to now follow the two other presentations by talking a little bit about the actual responsible key stories and the process that we undertook to identify them but also develop them. So I guess first things first, we need to cover why we actually decided to focus on key stories. Why this approach? And through the two previous presentations, we have already said that the ResponSEAble project is about ocean literacy and investigating the knowledge on human-ocean relationships. But of course, these are so many and so broad and based on individual experiences and regional locations. So we needed a way of narrowing down the scope. And to do so, we decided on some thematic areas, which we like to call the key stories. And the aim was really to capture the complex interactions between people and the oceans, and testing the ResponSEAble methodology, which Kari just presented, and also finding stories that had the potential to be applied in the development of ocean literacy products, which will be the next phase of the project. Yes, so when choosing the key stories, it was really essential that we managed to capture some good examples of connections between human society and oceans, and also that it was relevant in a European context. So from this, we had a certain approach or a certain process. First of all, it was a collective effort made by the consortium. We started with examining the focus of the EU Marine Strategy Framework Directive and especially the descriptors. And from that we were able to identify a number of potential key stories. And from there we started thinking of how to evaluate them. And we started with evaluation based on 6 criteria, so 6 questions, which was the potential for behavior change, whether it was a new or old topic, what was the potential for innovation in media, communication, and arts, and how it was relevant for the work within the project. So thinking about economic actors and economic activities, but also thinking about perception and human understanding. And then lastly, it was also important that it was relevant from a European regional seas perspective. So that's where we started. And based on this, we were able to have 12 top-ranking potential key stories, which we further evaluated against the regional seas programs of the relevant regions that ResponSEAble is covering, which is the Baltic Sea, the Black Sea, the Mediterranean, and the Northeast Atlantic. And then we of course also cross-checked it against the EU Blue Growth strategies, because that's also a big part of this project, making sure that we tie in the blue growth perspectives. So on the basis of this, we decided on 6 key stories, which some of you probably already know very well by now, and for others this is the introduction to them. But you all have them in front of you in the folder. We call them the C-Prezzies. So microplastics and cosmetics, eutrophication and agriculture, invasive alien species and ballast water, sustainable fisheries, marine renewable energy, and coastal tourism. And if you look at them closely, you see that the top, like the first 3, they are more related to a pressure-based or a pressure-based perspective, where you look at environmental pressures, or in the case of eutrophication, it's really the state of the ocean or the state of the sea. And then we identified specific activities or sources that led to this issue. And then the 3 on the bottom, there are the ones that we call blue growth stories, which is really looking at opportunities for blue growth, but also, of course, looking at pressures on the environment. So going back to the geographical scope of the key stories, as I just said, it was important that the key stories we did choose had a regional anchoring, and this is an EU project, but it also has a very strong regional component. So for the Black Sea, it was decided to focus on eutrophication and invasive alien species. And then for the Mediterranean Sea, we have the key story on coastal tourism, as well as invasive alien species. And for the Baltic Sea, it is, of course, eutrophication and invasive alien species. And then in the Northeast Atlantic Sea, we have the story on sustainable fisheries or aquaculture. And then we also have 2 EU-wide stories, one on microplastics and cosmetics, and one on marine renewable energy. And this regional approach also came forward through the Tamer's presentation, when he talked about interviews with actors and really diving into the topic and analyzing the information out there. That's also where the regional scope became really important. So, just to bring it back a little bit to Tamer's presentation and what type of content we actually have based the key stories on. First of all, the key stories are meant to be used to identify gaps in knowledge that needs to be filled to advance ocean literacy in Europe. And as such, they're meant to provide an overview of kind of the current state of the ocean or the seas with regards to that specific issue or the knowledge that we have so far, how economic activities directly or indirectly connected, and also our perception and understanding of this connection. So these 3 areas of themes or perspectives, they will of course come back to us during this session today and also tomorrow. So this table just presents quite quickly the overview of how the key stories will be presented during these 2 days. You already have, Hadrian has already gone through the agenda with you. Just to point out, for session 2, which is on what is worth knowing about the human-ocean relationship, we will use the microplastics and cosmetics key story as an example. Session 3, who needs to have knowledge, who is the actors? We will have snapshots from eutrophication as well as invasive alien species. And then session 4, building ocean literacy through communication, awareness raising, and engaging with different audiences. We have sustainable fisheries. And then session 5, which is the blue growth session, we will draw in 3 key stories, the 3 key stories on that has blue growth in them, which is marine renewable energy, sustainable fisheries, focusing on aquaculture, and also coastal tourism. So that's the setup of the responsible key stories during this workshop, and of course there will be other very interesting presentations that we can feed off on and will be an important part of the discussions that we will have on the questions that we are raising in this workshop. So with that, I guess I just want to say that if you have, well, the sea presses, they provide an overview of where we are with the key stories right now. The key stories are a continuous process that we are still developing, and this discussions or this workshop will feed into them as well. And yeah, I think that's all. Thank you. Yeah.